Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Silver and Blue Insights podcast. Episode number 4. I'm your host, as always, Justin Alonso, joined on the other side of Discord by Andrew Mendez. How are you doing?
Me personally, I'm doing good. As for the Cowboys, not feeling the best.
Yeah.
Not Definitely not having the best thoughts in my head today about this Cowboys team. Just like last week, I was not able to watch this week's game, but I was following on my phone at work. And it wasn't a fun time. It
I
wasn't as fun as last week.
I can read some messages. Where let me see. Let me find it. I think my Twitter's glitched right now because people are saying it's 14-3 Saints. That can't be true. Uh,
And that was
da-da-da.
when it was 14-3.
Yeah.
That was when
Weird how
I
the
that's
NFL
all
gave
that
the Cowboys a bye week during week 2. The fuck happened to
really
our
strange.
defense?
That was yeah, that was a recap of my reaction to seeing the score keep going up and up for the Saints.
I I said
Uh
some words.
yeah. And if I'm being completely honest, I I knew it was gonna be bad when I watched the highlights of the game. I was like, yeah, all right, well, I'm gonna watch the highlights. It's not gonna be fun, but I gotta watch them because we gotta discuss about what happened in this game. And before I did, I was in the car, bro. Traffic in the city. I mean, it's not fun. It's just not fun. We're just sitting in traffic. So I called my uncle and I was like, "So, what'd you think of the game today?" Because he watched it and he was like, "Yeah, the defense just looked like they had no answer." And when I watched the highlights, it was even worse than I thought it was going to be. It was somehow with a defense that allowed 44 points, and I knew it was going to be bad going into watching it. It was somehow worse than what I thought it would be.
The defense let up 6 touchdowns. The first 6 drives for the Saints resulted in touchdowns. The
That's just crazy.
the defense, the first drive that they did not allow a touchdown, ended at with 12 minutes left in the fourth quarter. It took them until the fourth quarter to stop the Saints from scoring a touchdown. You just can't win that way. You're not going to win a football game that way. You're just
No, yeah,
you're
usually
not.
the way you win football games is you will prevent the other team from scoring touchdowns.
That's just I the amount of people that I see blaming Dak may just be the most casual, just idiotic people on the planet. Even Tom Brady on the broadcast was saying how if you look at the situation, you think it's Dak's fault, like he doesn't know what to tell you. Like you can't tell me that when your defense literally doesn't like it doesn't matter if Dak goes fucking if you go 4 for 6 on drives, scoring touchdowns. That's really damn good. But you still would have been down by 2 touchdowns because of how bad the defense was. So it just doesn't matter who was the quarterback there. The quarterback's not going to run out there and stop Alvin Kamara or Derek Carr. So the people that are blaming Dak for this, I think just don't watch football and don't know how football works and only look at it quarterback $60 million, he must be the reason we're losing. No, dumbass, look at the actual game and look what happened. Because even the 2 picks he had, the one fucking Jalen Brooks, did you see that play?
Yeah, no, okay, that he messed up the route. Like that was
Jalen Brooks
not.
literally just slipped. If Jalen Brooks continued running the route, that is a perfect ball.
That's
Then
what I'm saying. Yeah, that's not Dak's fault. The
the other
second one, he threw in a double coverage. That was Dak's fault.
they
That's
were
a bad
also
throw.
down 3 or 4 touchdowns,
Yeah,
and so he was
he's
just
40.
forcing it to CD. So that one definitely was his fault, but it's also the game is so out of hand, and he's just trying. We talked
Yeah,
about it on
like
an episode that didn't air because the audio fucked up. But sometimes Dak just is forced to play hero ball, and when you're forced to play hero ball the entire game, it's not gonna. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't
yeah.
matter if you're Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. If you have to be the hero every single play, you're most likely not gonna win that football game. So, him doing it, he just ended up forcing it to CD, which was just bound to happen.
This game reminded me, uh, like as I was watching the highlights and even as I was following the score when it was happening, it reminded me of a game. We're not recently as in recent, but recent as in Cowboys recent. I think I know which game I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It just reminded. So, but the difference between that game and for anyone who hasn't caught on, I'm talking about the Packers game in the playoffs. The difference is that Dak played like shit in that game.
Mm-hmm.
Dak, his stats did not at the end of the game. They didn't look the worst. They had, because I think he actually had 300 passing yards in that game.
Three. I know
But
Ferguson had 3 touchdowns.
yeah, Ferguson had three. Dak had 300, which would look so stupid because if you watch the game, Dak was that was probably like one of the worst, if not the worst, Dak Prescott game Dak Prescott has played in the NFL.
I would say definitely it
One of
wasn't
them.
a good one, but you also had
I think it
so
was one of
many
them.
bad circumstances for that too.
Yeah, that's true. No, he was put in a really bad spot, just like how he was yesterday. He was put in the absolute
Mm-hmm.
worst spot, playing catch up. And in that game, he really didn't do anything until it was garbage time. In this game, he was playing good in
He
the
was
first
playing
half. Like
really damn well. Like
he was keeping us in this game.
I have a couple of things I just wanted to mention because in the first quarter it was really fucking bad. It kind of like evened out, or maybe I just kind of zone not zoned out, but like stopped paying attention because the game was so down bad. But in the first quarter, Turpin and Dowdle both got their face masks pretty much ripped off their helmets. No calls, right in front of the refs. Dowdle, there was one where I forget who. I think it was Demario Davis was covering was in coverage with him, and it was kind of one of those 50-50 where it could have been called PI, but maybe not. But it was kind of just adding on to that. The Guyton getting called on like the softest holding call I've ever seen in my entire life, and then the very next drive for the Raiders, first play, Micah Parsons literally gets bear hugged and doesn't get to Derek Carr, and that results in a 70-yard touchdown. So it's just like that first quarter. It's like, are we kidding me? Where there was just so many things where it's like, I hate crying about the officials, but there were so many missed calls in that first quarter that I think the team kind of just lost so much momentum because of it, and that'd be more their fault that if you can't overcome those calls, especially on the defensive side, like there's no, it does not matter the circumstance. You let up 6 straight touchdown drives. That is dog shit. There's no circumstances that I can tell you otherwise.
Yeah, no, like you were not making excuses for the Cowboys necessarily. Like the officiating was bad. It's just that everything was going bad, and on top of that, we weren't getting any luck
Yeah,
with the refs, which sucks because you hope that something can go right because nothing was going right. Just
yeah.
I I watched the highlights and I was stunned. Stunned. Like the Cowboys are supposed to be this elite. I asked on last opposite podcast, I said, Justin, are the Cowboys the best defense in football? I think we need to clip that. I think we need to make a clip of me
We're talking
saying
about
that.
takes exposed.
Yeah. Me saying, Justin, is this the best defense in football? And then just roll the clip of this week.
Just
Because this they look like a joke. Like this genuinely made me question. Like,
2020
is this a
Cowboys.
good is this a good team? Like, is this
I
are they not even a playoff team? Like, I was going into this week thinking, oh, we're gonna win the division. I'm so confident. Now I'm like, am I too confident in this team?
I think they're gonna make the playoffs. It's there's a couple of trains of thought that I have. That one, the defense just because Clint Kubiak is he was the passing game coordinator under Kyle Shanahan last year, so Shanahan disciple,
Of
and
course. That you talked about the motion.
yeah, so he just shredded it. So it could be a thing of Mike Zimmer. His whole thing was that his defense is supposed to be elite against it. That they just weren't. Where I also mentioned how it's probably gonna be one of those things where this defense plays a lot better in the second half compared to the first half, just because learning the scheme because of how complex of a scheme it is. But even then, they just got slow off the ball. Like it just. Also, did you see all the quotes that came out today?
Which ones? I saw the Dak
That's
press
the
conference. I
issue.
didn't.
That's the issue right there. Which one? Because you had Micah Parsons on post game and on his podcast saying that it was not Mike Zimmer's fault. It was a lack of effort by the team. You had Mike Zimmer coming out saying it was his fault. Then you had Mike McCarthy coming out saying it wasn't a lack of effort thing. So you have three people saying three completely different things. What
And
the
then
fuck is
Dak
it?
was just like, Dak was just like, well, you can't go undefeated. It's like, well, Dak, we're not talking about this team going undefeated. We're talking about this team getting absolutely embarrassed
Shit, like
in,
shit pumped.
in their home stadium where they've won 18 straight home games in
I just there's
regular
also there was also a lot of very interesting, not even interesting, just dumb decisions on who got playing time, who didn't. I'll kind of get like more into that later, but I just there's so much weird shit that happened in this game, especially
Yeah, no, I heard that Overshawn wasn't really getting much
yeah. So
time.
let me I have it right here. Where is it? So he played 17 snaps. The second, so out of the four main linebackers in Hendricks, Clark, Leafu, it's Leafau, whatever. And Overshone. Overshone was at 17. Leafu was second with 37. So he played 20 less snaps than the linebacker that had the third most. Hendricks played what's it called?
Why?
Played 53. I don't know. He was also like the third or fourth highest graded player on defense too.
So
It just
weird.
didn't make sense why he must have been like a nagging injury or something. It just
Yeah, that's what I
doesn't
was
make
thinking. I was
sense
like,
that he was the most explosive player you had last week. He was one of the most impressive, and if you kind of just don't count his rookie year because he was out the entire rookie year with torn ACL, he was the most impressive rookie I think from week 1. If you consider him a rookie, um, so I just it didn't make sense. I can't wrap my head around a reason other than he like slept with one of the coach's wives or he's just hurt. Like those are the only two things that I could think about.
yeah, no. Why would you not play your best players in a team in a game that your team is doing so bad?
I just
It's just not. I don't know. Maybe it had a lot to do with switching the game plan and Overshawn maybe was in the. But that I don't know. That doesn't really make sense.
but he should be in every gameplay you have cuz
That's
he's
what I'm saying.
I, it just didn't make sense. But another guy that I think was kind of weird that he didn't get touches was Hunter Lipke. I obviously Hunter Lipke is not as important as Overshown is to this team, but we talked about in the episode that got deleted because we love audio about how with Jake Ferguson being out, he would probably get a lot more playing time. He got 10 snaps, and that is 14% of the snaps. So that's another thing where it's just like you talk about how much you love this guy. You the position that he would play is available because the guy that would be there is hurt. You could use him. It just especially when you go up against the Saints where you see them how they use. Obviously, I'm not comparing him to Taysom Hill, but you see how they use Taysom Hill, how they move everyone around, and you have a guy that you love so much, and you talk about how you want to use him that way, and you don't. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the oversight that we ignored was we talked about the matchups. We didn't talk about we didn't even know Mike Zimmer versus Alvin Kamara.
Mm.
Mike Zimmer's kryptonite is Alvin Kamara. This man has now scored 6 touchdowns in a game and 4 touchdowns in a
I didn't
game.
even think about that. That it was the sixth touchdown game was against him.
Yep.
Let me.
And then again with how many yards did he have? Like 180, two
I
hundred
have it written
yards.
down. Where is Camara?
It looked like he was back in his prime, honestly.
Where
It
did
looked like prime Derek Carr and prime Alvin Kamara.
I can't find it. On the ground, he was 20 for 115 with 3 touchdowns, and I think he had about 70 receiving yards. And he was rushing for 5.8 a carry. So it's just that's not good. You allowed 190 rushing yards, and it honestly felt like it was double that. But I think a big reason of that was this is the bottom 10 players for PFF rank on defense. The worst ranked player, Jordan Phillips with 25.8. Second worst was Linval Joseph with 28.7. Then you had Mozzie Smith, fourth at 30.1. Then you had Osa as the seventh worst at 36.9. The interior of the defensive line just played horrible, just dog shit. And it's weird because the way they were getting beat was just running to the outside. And that's always been the Cowboys' kryptonite. Just the runs to the outside, runs to the outside. But watching this game, I was like mad at like Micah and the like defensive ends. I'm like, yo, where the hell is the pressure? They had one third down in the first half. They just
They had no pressure. They
the
literally put zero pressure on the
well,
Saints.
it's because the whole issue was that they were just running the ball so effectively that they never got to third down. You have to in the NFL. It's been said so much. You have to earn the right to rush the passer. They just could not earn that right because they couldn't stop the fucking run. Like, put in perspective, I didn't realize this, but Micah was the number one graded player by PFF on the Cowboys. I think 86.9. So here I should have his number somewhere. I don't even know, but it it's so weird because outside of him though, the other defensive ends did not do well. Demarcus Lawrence had a 62.1 PFF grade, so about average, but he has 7.7% win percentage. Point of perspective, Micah Parsons was 16.7. Lawrence had zero pressures. Marshawn Nealon had a 33.1 PFF grade with zero pressures. So it's just outside of Micah, no one really played well in this defense. It's so bad.
I just don't even know what to think of it. It was like the end of the year last year. The defense played horrible, but it was more like just like sadness that the season's over. I wasn't really like trying to like deep dive and evaluate like what exactly went wrong. But
Especially
this
because
is
you
just
knew
like,
Dan Quinn was kind of like out the door, so there'd be a new defensive coordinator, so there's gonna be
mm.
change. So it's like, okay, it's not gonna really matter. Well, it's so bad last year because you're gonna get someone in new. So
But now when you have a new defensive coordinator, and we're hyping them up, we're just saying how good the defense looked week one, and then completely, like literally completely the opposite of what happened week one
it's so
happened in
it's
week two.
it's so weird because the defensive tackles I would say played pretty solid week one against probably the best interior line in football. But then you get to like at best average interior offensive line, you shit the bed like this? Like that just doesn't make sense how you go from like really damn good against elite to horrible against average at best. It just didn't make sense to me.
Do the Cowboys need to just like get a Shanahan type coach to overcome this? Because it
I
seems like they can't beat it, so you might as well become it.
I there's a rumor, not a rumor going around, but kind of a lot of people are saying that Clint Kubiak should be the head coach when Mike McCarthy leaves next, or is just contract ends. I wouldn't hate that.
When
But
they
we're not talking about 2025. We're not there yet, but please be the head coach if no one else. Um,
we need a like young-minded coach, I feel like, who's gonna innovate the game. We
exactly.
can't we have old heads who, yes, they've won before. They know how to like coach football, but they're not like advanced, it
I
feels
will say
like.
Zimmer's a little different because I
Zimmer
think
is a little different than McCarthy. I agree,
McCarthy
obviously.
is a lot like the only way to get better against the Shanahan tree is to play the Shanahan tree when it or just having an insane amount of reps against them when you could experiment with stuff. The way you do that is you practice against them. How do you practice against them? You have a coach that is from the Shanahan tree that runs the Shanahan offense. So I don't know if they need to hire someone as like a fucking assistant or something. Like right now, like yo, you worked with Kyle Shanahan, you don't have a
Yeah,
job. Come with us, just give us tips. We'll pay you a shit ton of money. That's all you have to do. And they'd be like,
pretty
okay.
much. Honestly, that should be goal number one right now. Gary by Jerry Jones. Get someone who knows a lot about Kyle Shanahan's system and literally just get him so that you can use that information to combat it.
It's just
Because that is our kryptonite right now. It's the
there's
Matt LaFleur, Kyle Shanahan, Clint Kubiak. They're just terrorizing this defense.
I'm trying to like think about or see if I had any more notes on the defense. I don't know if it was a thing that they weren't physical, they didn't want it more, just because there were sometimes they would just seem like they didn't really have that much effort, but then other times it just they were getting bullied. I don't even know what it was. But did you have anything else to talk about on the defense?
Um, Donovan Wilson got a pick.
Yeah, I think he also played
Yeah,
really bad though. I think the safeties was also
he got burnt pretty bad
that
on
was
that
another thing.
Shaheed.
Juanye Thomas just did not play. Like here, let me go to the safeties and I'll tell you exactly what his numbers were. Where are you? Juanye Thomas played 8% of snaps. Marquise Bell played 7. I just don't understand that either. Like that didn't really make much sense to me that they're not playing that much. Like, because I'm looking at like everyone else and it's pretty like it's funky. Like Israel Mukamu is a guy that I really like, and I think that he could either be a cornerback or a safety. He'd be really good at both of them. He only played 5% of snaps. He played 3 snaps. I'm trying to look at other guys. Yeah, that's yeah. At least on the defense, that just did not make sense. Just kind of the rate at which they were doing it, and you look at. Do you mind if I move on to tight ends, or you just wanted to talk about defense still?
No, you can move on.
So out of the tight ends, Luke Schoonmaker played 40% of snaps. Brevin Spanford played 31% of snaps. Last week, Jake Ferguson played 62% of snaps. So and obviously they're going to be on the field for certain plays. So they were probably on the field the same amount of time that Jake Ferguson was because of overlapping
Mhm.
snaps. So I don't understand that. Where you barely use your tight ends. Like I get it that Ferguson's hurt, but you, how are you going to establish a run game if you don't? The whole reason they signed Brevin Spanford in free agency was because, or in as a UDFA, was because of how good of a run blocker he was. The main reason you drafted Luke Schoonmaker was because of how good of a run blocker he was. And I feel like they just never ran kind of like those jumbo packages. The thing about Ferguson is, yeah, he's a great run blocker, but he's an incredible guy with the ball. You don't have Ferguson? Okay, let's use the guys that we have to our strengths. And they just didn't. The way they were running the ball was so stupid. They were running Zeke on pitches to the outside, but they were running Deuce Vaughn up the middle. It just the
Yeah, I don't know. Deuce Vaughn's not like he's an explosive guy. He's the guy that you'd want to go to
he's
the
the
front,
guy
and
that
then
you give
Zeke
the
is
pitch to the outside, and
yeah,
Zeke's the guy that you give the
and
ball up
then
the middle.
yeah, Zeke is the guy that's gonna like he was one of the best 2 years ago, one of the best third and one
He's a
like
short yardage guy. He's
short
nothing
yardage
other
running
than
back.
that.
He's gonna fight to the extra one or two. He's not explosive anymore. I will say though, I did like the pitch to Zeke where he got 15, 20 yards.
I'm not even talking about that one.
That was just nice. It was just nice to
That
see
was just a great play
Zeke.
by Dak, where he's
Yeah, it was a great
literally
play with
getting
Dak,
sacked and he got that out.
and then it was just nice to see Zeke just like get through the open field for like 20 yards
Just
because
there was a couple other plays where it was 1st and 20 and they run it up the middle. It's just why the fuck are we running it on 1st and 20? Like
it just doesn't make sense. Like this all like the some of the play calling really like it's been like a thing for a while ever since like the Kellen Moore days when
even before
like
that,
they this is a passing offense, but I feel like we just don't know when like we like run at the worst times possible.
I just because that is another issue with the Cowboys offense. That yeah, it's a passing offense, but without Ferguson, you have literally no one outside of CeeDee Lamb on this
Yeah.
offense.
Well, I don't know. I just think this was an issue that should have been addressed a long time ago, that we kind of needed more help on the wide receiver side. Yes, Jalen Tolbert, like, he played good, but I don't like
No,
like
he had that one play, that one like big bomb. Other than that, he did not play well.
okay, all right. I take that back then. I thought he played well because I saw that nice catch.
Other than that, he did not play well whatsoever.
Okay. But we just need more help on offense. Like with Jake Ferguson out, like there's so much pressure on CeeDee Lamb.
I want you to guess Brandon Cooks' stat line.
Oh yeah, like can you have like 3 catches?
2 catches for 19 yards.
Okay. Yeah, I knew it was bad. I wasn't sure if it was like 2 or 3 catches.
No, but with how bad both of the Jalen's have been, and then Brandon Cooks, who's supposed to be your number two receiver, he does shit like that. It's like, okay, like what are we doing here? Like that just can't happen. He's one of those guys that CeeDee Lamb was getting double, triple covered because they know like no one else on this team is going to do anything. So that's when the type of games that Brandon Cooks has to take over. We talked about that. How if there's no Marshawn Lattimore, they're going to be just sending everything they have at CeeDee. Then Brandon Cooks has to take advantage of that. That's exactly what happened, and they did not take advantage of that.
Yeah, and I just don't feel confident in Brandon Cooks being like the guy because I don't know. It's just not we're just not deep. We don't really have much of a run game, and our pass game is not that strong without Ferguson.
Yeah. Oh my God, Falcons suck. Literally easy first. We're recording this when the Eagles are playing the Falcons, and I'm just, of course, got to keep an eye on Philly. They had an easy first down. The receiver literally literally the ball hits him in the hands. It just bobbles and doesn't get the first down, and that was on third down. But, anyways, um, I I think I had a note about the run game somewhere. No, the only note I had was just I don't understand why they're doing it the way they are. I also just don't get why they're so obsessed with all the jet sweeps. Did you see the play with Jalen Brooks
I love the jet sweeps. Which one?
where fucking like I think Brandon Cooks got the ball on a jet sweep?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Brandon Cooks gets the ball on a jet sweep. Jalen Brooks had a pretty easy block that he just doesn't try on. And if he
Hmm.
makes that block, that's most likely a touchdown. If it's not a touchdown, it's on like the 3 yard line. So just that low effort, and then to also have a really bad game where you cost you gave the other team the ball when you slipped, and Dak threw a pick because of that. I just don't see how he's active on game days anymore. I don't see how Ryan Flournoy doesn't take that spot from him. And even then, we got to realize Ryan Flournoy is a 7th round rookie. He's not going to be the answer. He's not going to fix. He's going to be a good, solid third, fourth wide receiver. But he's not going to be fucking, I don't know. He's not going to be the Adam Thielen to Justin Jefferson as of a couple of years ago. He's not going to be the Robert Woods to Cooper Kupp of even further back than that. He's not going to be that game offense changing player, but you got to do something about the Jalen's. Like, you can't have both of them as game day actives.
Yeah, I don't know. Or even like sign someone. Like we just
Who do you sign?
they gotta do
Like, that's
something.
the issue. It's like, who's there?
We talked about this. They just gotta do something about the wide receivers. It's just bad, man. It's
Just,
not fun. And it, like we I don't know. It's just not the explosive offense that we're used to.
mm,
Not it's just not I have a feeling this might be a little bit of a step back from last year's number 1 offense. Don't think
yeah,
don't
I
think we're
just
gonna see
want
them
to.
putting up crazy numbers like we did last year. I think they'll still be a good offense, but
Mm-hmm. What are the Browns 0-2? They are, right?
where'd
They
the Browns play?
are. No, they won. But do they, there's a certain receiver on the Browns that is doing absolutely nothing because he has one of the worst quarterbacks in the league. Did they, let's say, throw a 5th round pick at him? I mean, he was already in trade discussions in the offseason. Do the
I would love
Cowboys
that.
ever try to get Amari Cooper back?
Bring him back. Bring him back, man.
Another guy is.
I got my Cooper jersey right there. It's
Yep.
ready.
Um, no, but I think a guy that, and obviously we're not calling for trade for a guy right now, but just some interesting names to kind of keep an eye out on. The Las Vegas Raiders, they're probably not going to do much. Devontae Adams is another big one where he's getting older. He's got a pretty big contract hit. They're kind of in no man's land. Do they trade Devontae Adams? The Who else? I'm just looking at a list of receivers. The Tennessee Titans. Do you trade for maybe a DeAndre Hopkins, who's definitely a shell of himself, but at the
Hmm.
very worst, it's at least depth? Do you trade for um say the say the Bears don't do anything. They're already 0-2. Say the Bears go like 1-7, 2-6 at the trade deadline. Do they trade Keenan Allen? I'm pretty sure Keenan Allen's on the last year of his contract. The Who else do we got here?
Do something. We're in, like we just gave Dak all this money. We gotta do something.
Like I just listed off a couple of guys that at least one or two of those teams are going to be sellers when it comes to the trade deadline. Like obviously that's so far away, but it seems like one of those years where if they don't make a massive trade, that their wide receivers are just not going to be enough.
Yeah, it's gonna be like the same as I mean, like before we like I feel like a move can do so much because we saw what when obviously it's like a completely different offense, but when we added Cooper and it just completely transformed our offense. And we add a guy like Keenan Allen, and I feel like he could probably have a similar effect.
Yeah, I just who knows. They really got to fix the weapons. The offensive line did play a lot better than I thought. Tyler Guyton, he had a much better game. He had a 69.9 pass block grade according to PFF. He only allowed what was it? He allowed 4 pressures and only allowed 1 sack. So overall, he played a lot better than last week. Didn't have to play against the reigning defensive player of the year. I know I don't have the numbers in front of me, but pretty much the entire offensive line was graded as at least above average by PFF. I know Zach Martin was, I believe, the second, third. Zach Martin was the third highest graded Cowboys. If I could speak today, Tyler Smith was the fifth highest graded Cowboy according to PFF. So the offensive line played well. It was just they didn't have running backs. They don't have a good running scheme. So it's just they need to figure some shit out with this offense, especially in the run game because it's people are acting like they had a good run game against Cleveland when or like especially like Zeke and they have good backs. Zeke had fucking 40 yards against Cleveland and people are acting like he had a 150-yard game. Like we gotta kind of just settle down on some of the. I'm not saying a lot of people, but there's a section of Cowboys fans that think this running back room is like really good, and I just don't see how you could think that.
No, I don't know. I don't know why people think that.
I just
Really, nothing. It's nothing crazy. It's not a great run blocking O line either. It's like like I said, it's a passing offense. I don't really think there's much exciting stuff going on with this running back room.
Mm. And one point I even completely forgot to mention was Derek Carr went 11 for 16, 243 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. All those incompletions and the interception were all pretty much at garbage time. I think he was 11 for 12 on the first 6 drives for like 200 yards, both those touchdowns. So,
Only 5 quarterbacks have ever done that before with like 12 completions or how as many yards as he had.
yeah, I'm pretty sure he had a perfect passer rating. I know he definitely did in the first half. I think he did in the entire game.
Yeah, I think he did, even despite the pick.
It's just
I think
that type of shit just can't happen, especially to a quarterback like Derek Carr, who they have one of the most mediocre offensive. Like if you look up mediocre, their offensive line shows up. It's not good. It's not
it's
bad. And you're supposed to be
yeah,
this team that's an elite pass rush unit, but they get so bullied off the snap that they can't. It's so just stupid to me.
yeah. I don't know. I mean, if we're looking at it through a different lens, we did lose to the best team in the NFL and the best quarterback in the NFL. If you want to go off the first 2 weeks,
Yeah,
oh, it's not that bad. We're tomorrow, next week we're facing an 0-2 team, so things are looking up.
yeah. I'm not. Do not. Do not hear what I'm not saying when I say this because it's going to be a wild comparison. This week, Patrick Mahomes threw for 150 yards and 2 interceptions, and the Chiefs won the game. That is what happens when you have a defense that plays defense. Obviously, I am not saying that Dak is Patrick Mahomes. Do not hear what I am not saying. That is not what I'm saying by any means. I'm just saying a quarterback can have a dog shit game and still win because the defense was so good. And when the
Tom Brady.
defense, yeah, when the defense gives up that many points, there's literally nothing that a quarterback can do. When the defense just cannot stop a fucking wet paper bag. It's literally the meme of the guy that's running security, where he's just like, go, go. You know what I mean? It's like the lightest
was
pad down
literally,
of
yeah,
all
no, that
time. Just
was
go, go.
it.
It's
Honestly,
so
it
just
didn't even look like they were trying.
no
Like what Mika said. Like it didn't look like they were trying. It looked like they were like Derek Carr was just playing Madden on fucking
rookie.
beginner mode on rookie,
Just there's
and he just always found it was just like the Packers game. There was always an open receiver in the middle of the field.
they're kind of a or a tweet that I found that kind of sums up what this game was is a tweet from at Cam Sanderson 88. Things Dak Prescott did that costed the Cowboys the game. Allowed 44 points. Benched Demario and Overshown most of the game. Made the team run every first down. Made Brooks slip so the Saints could have a turnover. Told the defense to apply no pressure to Carr. God damn it, Dak. How dare you do all those things?
No, this is why Dak is the most overrated quarterback in
Dude,
football.
there's people that will actually like watch that
It's
game.
ridiculous how Dak is not able to motivate his defense to get a stop.
It's wild that Dak didn't run off the sidelines mid-play and tackle Alvin Kamara.
It's actually crazy to me how Dak didn't say, guys, we need to start getting interceptions so that they stop
It's
scoring
crazy.
touchdowns.
It's
It's
crazy.
crazy.
He's such a
Like
bad leader.
it really makes me think that they should take the captain
Just take the cat. Just cut him.
title away from him. I don't yeah, no. Why did we sign him?
Send him to Guantanamo Bay. The Eagles just
Hey,
turned over on downs on the 10-yard line.
oh,
They
it's
almost scored a
big.
touchdown. So close. Not.
Brandon Aubrey, good.
Yeah.
Brandon Aubrey is good
Yeah,
though.
he's the only. He is. I saw someone say as a joke that they need to rebuild the team around Brandon Aubrey.
No, really. Like this team needs to be rebuilt.
Dude, we get
He's the only
53
part.
Brandon Aubreys. I don't see how we lose a game or win a game. Um, but
It's like that this game was like the opposite of the Cowboys Bucks game in the playoffs 2 years ago, where
yeah,
Brad Maher was the only negative, and then this game. I mean, I guess he wasn't
we
the only
blew. We
positive.
no, we blew out the other team. Brett Maher did absolutely nothing. This game, fucking what's his face? Brandon Aubrey does incredible, but the entire team does
Yeah,
nothing and get blown out at home.
yeah.
It's
It
literally
pretty
the
much was the
inverse of that
opposite.
game.
It is pretty much the inverse. I wanted to stop myself by saying there was some players that did good, but at the end of the day, there was other players that did bad against in the Cowboys Bucks game too, but just not really many notable besides Brett Maher.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was the inverse. It was like I stand by what I was
And the
saying.
team with
I
the
almost
greatest
quit.
quarterback of all time lost. Anyways, did you have anything else
Yeah.
kind of just to talk about for this week?
Um, I don't know. We'll talk about it on the preview episode. I'm excited to talk about that, but it's a really interesting matchup coming up next week. Two very angry teams. The Cowboys are obviously very pissed off
I am. I'm
how
not
horrible they
looking
played,
forward
and
to
the
this
Ravens
game.
can't. And the Ravens somehow lost to the Raiders. Don't know how that happened. Now Lamar gets to face a defense that was just absolutely picked apart, and we do not play good against the run. I'm terrified
You're playing
for
against
Lamar.
Lamar and fucking Derrick Henry, and just my head hurts. My head hurts thinking about it. I just don't want.
You see, like we're like you. I think from the first drive, if they're running the ball, we're just gonna begin like Vietnam flashbacks to like that Rams game or
To pick the game that you want. Like,
yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I
just
mean? Like,
just I don't know. It always just comes to mind the Rams game in the playoffs, but there's a ton of games where they've just
take one of these pills, and one of these pills will remind you of a different Cowboys game that they got gashed by the run. There's 80 pills in that bottle. just
Yeah, no, there's like too many examples.
it's so bad. But yeah, I just they remained relatively healthy. Like I don't really think anyone got hurt.
Yeah, besides Zach Martin, but he's gonna be okay.
Yeah, it seems he'll be okay. They said that Jake Ferguson was like incredibly close to playing, so that's obviously a great thing. I'm curious if
That's
they
good.
play him this week. Just the only
Maybe,
reason why is because they play then Thursday night football, so you have a very short turnaround window. Of it's like a thing of like
maybe just playing against the Ravens, but then sit him against the Giants.
which I wouldn't like because I'm going to that Giants game. Um.
But we're gonna win that game anyway.
Oh yeah, but still, I want to see
We
Ferguson.
need him against the Ravens, though.
Oh, we need him again. I just don't know what the hell they do because that looked like such a bad injury. But it's crazy that the Cowboys kind of are having a lot of injury luck when you consider it, considering all the other injuries that have been happening. Um,
Yeah.
like just
My fantasy team, I have Pacheco and Puka
yeah,
both just gone.
just looking at the kind of looking at the other teams that in the NFC that we're just keeping an eye on. The 49ers, Debo Samuel is going to miss 4 to 6 weeks, which will make him healthy for the fucking Cowboys game. Christian McCaffrey was just put on IR, which will make him healthy for the Cowboys game, so he'll miss like about 4 weeks. George Kittle, I know he got carted off, but I think he just got an
I,
IV. I believe that
oh,
was the
okay.
story with
I
him that
didn't
he
see
just
the.
got an IV. So I think he'll be fine. But that team's banged up. Like they just lost to the Vikings, who they lost to Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold, the best quarterback in the NFL right now. Like
Him and Derek Carr look like the two best quarterbacks in the league.
just the this also was just heavy upset week in general. Um, but
I
looking at
had
or you go.
a survival pool I was in, and I picked my first week. I picked the Bengals. Obviously, they lost to
Why
the
would you do
Patriots.
that? I
Well, they were
told you.
playing the
Okay, let me
Patriots.
let me take my victory lap on that. I said before that game, I have a really weird feeling that the Patriots are gonna win this game, and then I gave like 5 different reasons why, and then everyone called me a dumbass, and then guess what? The Patriots won that goddamn football game, and the Bengals lost, and I was right as always. So god damn it, people should listen to me. But yeah, I just I you could ask Nick. I have these like Notre Damus. Is that what it is?
Nostradamus.
Notre Dame, where like you're
Nostradamus.
just like real, like you just see in the future. Like I'll just randomly have one game a week where I'm like, I think that team's gonna upset this week, and it happens every.
I've had that before, and
It
it's
happens
the best
all
feeling in
the
the world
time.
when you're right.
Um.
But I was gonna say, let me. So I picked the Bengals week 1. I was out, but then I already preset. I'm out of that, but I preset my second week pick, and it was the Ravens. So no matter what, I was gone the first 2 weeks. But I did another one with my friends. So we started week 2, and I picked the Niners.
Mhm.
But there's 3 lives, so I have 2 lives left.
Why would you pick the Niners so early though?
Because they're playing the. I don't know. I just want to get them out of the way. I'm like, oh, the Vikings, they'll win that. It's an easy win.
I
Sam
think that
Darnold.
the biggest lock of. I don't know why you didn't go Chargers.
I was about to go Chargers, but I was like,
That was. I
I
feel
don't
like that
know.
was the biggest lock of the week, and it wasn't even
It
close.
really was. It really was such a lock. But I was like, I'm so confident that I'm just gonna, I'm just gonna get the Niners out of the way.
Yeah.
I don't like the Niners. I don't want to have to like root for them to win, but they'll just get their win out of the way. But they didn't.
But then also
So
I was gonna say the Commanders beat the Giants. I had Commanders fans talking shit about me. You won because you scored 7 field goals. You didn't score a touchdown against the New York fucking Giants, and you're gonna
the
tell me
Giants,
that that was impressive? No, no.
the Giants were the first team in NFL history to get 3 touchdowns, allow 0, and still lose.
Yeah, because okay, that's another thing by the Giants. You heard about what happened with their kicker?
Yeah, he got hurt.
No, they knew he was hurt and may not be able to play during the game. So
Why
they
did you just not sign another kicker?
that's the thing. They have 52 people on their 53-man roster too. They could have signed someone. They chose not to. On the opening kickoff, he got hurt. They
That's
scored
crazy.
18 points on 3 touchdowns because they didn't kick fucking extra points because they couldn't. They had to go for two every single time. That lost them the game.
It's actually ridiculous.
Like, it's so just. Obviously, like, I don't care. Those are two bottom of the division matchups.
Yeah.
But it's just. What? I think I hate Commanders fans more than I hate Giants fans now. I'm at that point where just because I'm in a group chat with them, they do not stop talking. It is
Just like just
endless.
a few Commanders fans are ruining your entire
They're
view of the
fucking
fantasy.
gnats. It's just like you're just like smacking them the entire time. They're not like they don't make sense. They're just annoying. You just like smack them. I can't stand them. I hate the Commanders so much because of
I
that.
really haven't dealt with that many. Like, I only see Commanders fans existing on social media.
Like
I've
that's
never like I've like met maybe a few.
I don't really care about their team, but I hate their fans. Like they're such an the only reason they're relevant is because they rebranded 5 times in the last fucking year. Like if it wasn't for that, they'd be the most
And now they
irrelevant
want to
franchise.
now they want to like rebrand back
Dude,
to the Redskins.
it's so just I hate them. Anyways, um, then you also had the Packers. They won. The Buccaneers beat the Lions, which was huge. The Cardinals just destroyed the Rams.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with the Cardinals. They're like really good now.
It's because Kyler's a good quarterback, and
Yeah.
you got a really damn good wide receiver too. So I definitely could see them being kind of one of those like really fun, high scoring offenses. But to the point of it being like a big upset week, let's go through each game individually. Before the week, would you have picked the Bills or the Dolphins?
I picked the Dolphins.
I picked the Bills. The Bills ended up winning. But close game. The Bills blew them out. Vikings or 49ers? We both would have picked the 49ers. The Vikings won. Seahawks or Patriots? I would have taken the Seahawks. I'm assuming same for you.
Yeah.
The Seahawks won that game in overtime. Giants, Commanders, whatever. Who gives a shit about that game? Chargers, we both would have taken them. They won. Saints, Cowboys. The Saints won. We both would have taken the Cowboys. Colts, Packers. I would have taken the Packers. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I would have taken. Well, no, actually no. I would have taken the Colts.
But a 50-50 game. Browns, Jaguars. Who would you have taken?
Browns.
I would have taken the Jaguars. The Browns barely won. Jets, Titans. I would have taken the Jets. I don't know about you.
Jets. Yeah, Jets.
Lions, Bucks at Detroit. I would have taken the
Lions.
Lions, and the
Lions.
Bucks won
Lions.
that game. Ravens, Raiders. I would have taken the Ravens. You said you would have as well. Raiders won that game. Cardinals, Rams. I would have taken the Rams. Then Bengals, Chiefs. I think I would have taken the Chiefs. Steelers,
Yeah.
Broncos. I would have taken the Steelers. Texans, Barons. I would have taken the Texans. So that is. Let's see how many huge upsets. That are like no doubt about it upsets. One, two,
First three. First three. At
three,
least.
4. I count 5.
What would you say are the four? Because the Niners, Cowboys, and Ravens getting upset were huge upsets.
Mm. I would also
What else would you
say
say?
the. What were the other ones I was looking at? Well, I'm just saying like the favorite lost, like the pretty heavy favorite
Oh no,
lost.
yeah. Well, like there's different from the favorite losing and a huge upset. I think there was three legit huge upsets.
Well,
The
I was
Ravens
just saying
losing.
it was an upset week in general.
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
Like the Bucks Lions, I would say the Lions should have been pretty heavy favorites in that game.
Yeah.
And then the other one was Rams Cardinals. I think the Rams were because the fucking Rams haven't beat the Cardinals haven't beat the Rams in Arizona since I think 2015.
Yeah, but I think the Cardinals were actually 1 point favorites.
Well, that's also just because they were the home team.
Yeah, and Puko's out.
Yeah, but that's still to win 41-10. It was just one of those weeks where everyone gets upset.
Oh, man. I don't know. Weird week. It doesn't count. So, Cowboys are 1-0, and they're heading to Ravens. Or they're not heading. They
The
are
Ravens are heading to
playing the
Dallas.
Ravens. They're playing the Ravens in AT&T next week for a week 3 matchup after our weird bye week, week 2.
Yeah, I don't know why they would do
So,
that. It's kind of weird
yeah, I
scheduling.
don't know. I don't. Roger Goodell's weird for that one.
Yeah.
He decided. the Cowboys, like, since they're America's team and they're always on TV, so maybe we'll give someone else the spotlight for week 2.
Mm.
But back at it week 3. I'm excited.
Sunday Night Football. Um, yeah, I got nothing else to say
No, it's
unless you
next
got
week is
anything.
not.
I thought it was Sunday Night
It's
Football.
no, it's 4:25.
You're right. I don't know. I thought it was Sunday Night Football.
We have Sunday night in a few weeks against the Niners.
Oh shit,
We have Thursday night.
we have a Monday night doubleheader.
When?
The 23rd. It's Jaguars, Bills, Commanders, Bengals. 7:30 and
Oh shit,
8:15. So
that's
stupid,
cool.
but anyways, I got nothing else to say unless you got anything to add.
Uh, yeah, I don't know. I think we covered everything.
Mm. So, on that note, thank you everyone for listening. Really appreciate it. The Cowboys sucked, but you guys don't suck. You guys are awesome. Follow us on all social medias: YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, Twitter, all that good stuff on at Silver and Blue Insights. We'll be recording twice a week, one before each game, and then one is kind of like a recap of each week. And on that note, see you guys next time.
Peace.